Everyone, we're still waiting on one more board member for a quorum, so we'll get started in a few minutes.
Yeah.
No, you are right on time.
Oh, good.
So we have 3 members in a quorum now. Bob will not be here today, so I'm gonna ask if there's anyone who would volunteer to run the meeting. Or if not, I can do it.
Yes, I'll do it.
Okay. Call this meeting of the Monroe County Drainage Board to order at 8:31 a.m. We have 3 members present and a quorum. I do expect Bill Riggert to come and Tron. I'm expecting to come, but I didn't see his confirmation yet. Okay. Okay. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from May 14th, and here's Bill Riggert. Okay. Approval of minutes from May 14th, 2024.
Move approval of the minutes for May 14th, 2024.
Second.
Okay, in a second, with motion in a second. Nobody is present virtually, so we can vote on consensus. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No one opposed, okay.
I'm reading them right now, so that's why I was like.
That's fine. I printed the first page of them. I neglected to print it.
Oh, I'm already past that.
That's
And I wasn't present. So.
okay. But we have 3 who. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Great, thank you. That May 14th meeting was we had a regular board meeting begin, and then we had a combined meeting with Stormwater Management Board to discuss the ordinance. So you'll see halfway through, we had Julie and Penny join us to discuss the ordinance. So that was a pretty special meeting. Any public input for items not on the agenda? I think I see any other members of the public. No hands raised. Okay. First item of business. I'm running the meeting, Bill. Do you like this? Unless you want to volunteer to step in.
This is fun. It's going well.
First item of business is a PUO plan unit outline plan for cut rate quote storage. So I'm going to share my screen. It's am I sharing my screen? Okay. Those online, please let me know if you can't see my screen, okay? Because I'm sharing. I don't have the red box around it though. So. Okay, did a write-up for you on this project. We also have Steve here to discuss it with Banning Engineering, and he provided a nice preliminary drainage report for you to review, which I included in the packet. So this project is in the Lake Monroe watershed off State Road 446. There are 2 parcels, and this main area on top of the ridge, they hope to develop for boat storage. 1.7 acres of boat storage. So my main comments for this one is I've asked them to meet our general watershed release rates. Now they are official with the new ordinance, 0.9 and 0.5 cubic feet per second per acre. And providing water quality treatment measures right now, just meeting the general ordinance requirements, but in the development plan review, once we get a better idea of potential pollutants on the site, I we have the ability to add additional measures if we think they are necessary. So, okay, the other thing I want to talk about is adequacy of the outlet, because of course, especially in this watershed, we have steep ravines and slopes that this will be draining to. So I want to make sure we look at that. That is my brief summary. Steve, do you want to explain more detail about the project?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't bring multiple copies of the plan, so I just kind of spread this one out here. And run over this real quick. So as Kelsey had said, it's about a 15-acre parcel, and we want to use the northern, about 4 acres to create boat storage associated with the Cupright Marina. It'll be a gravel parking lot area designed to sheet drain from east to west to a grass swale sloped at about 1%. But then we'll collect runoff from the parking area, route it down to the detention basin to an outlet control structure. That grass line swale will have an under drain under it, as will the detention basin itself. We'll probably explore, once we get into more detailed design, about maybe having a infiltration basin in the bottom of the detention area. And then discharges through an outlet control structure to still in the basin. But then we'll sheet drain down to the ravine, large ravine, obvious by the topo that flows from south east to northwest and down towards the lake. So pretty simple. The only other thing that may occur on the site at some point in the future on the remaining 10 acres is potentially a house. There's one existing building on the site. It's a trailer, and that will probably be repurposed as kind of an office and maybe a caretaker residence.
It's like a retaining wall or something.
No, what's really interesting about this, Bill, is you go down there and there's 2 entry drives. There's an entry drive here and an entry drive here that I've been there quite a while. These are like foundations. And then there's some really funny looking foundations over here that look an awful lot like, at some point in time, they may have been like gas pumps. And the foundation and the block is all that ceramic that you might have seen on a gas station, like maybe back in the 60s. It's I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't here at that time, but it sure looks at some point like this was, or it was either intended to be some type of service station, but it's all abandoned. It's all fallen down. The property really needs cleaned up. There's tires and junk cars and stuff all over. So this is really a benefit for the property to get all that cleaned up.
Yeah, no,
Steve, it looks, proposed outlets in here somewhere.
Yeah, so we'd have the detention basin, have an outlet control structure, and then a stilling basin, and that would fill up and flow for riprap.
Okay. Take a look at that and see that it looks like it could drift over into this draw. See if that would be an issue later. We do that for development plan,
Sure.
or final plan.
And as far as how the lot lines are drawn here, that could change based on whatever we need to do to accommodate the detention basin.
Okay.
And again, at this point, we're just asking for preliminary approval. We're going through zoning on this. If zoning is approved, then we come back and do more detailed design.
Yes, that's what, yeah, at that point.
Review the drainage report that was able to meet when we were discharging.
yes, but I will send the final drainage report to Christopher Burke Engineering, or whoever I have the time to review the calculations. Do you have any concerns about underground storage tanks?
Yeah.
The property owner, Tommy Greenman, has had an environmental assessment done, and
Okay.
if they are there, nobody's been able to find them.
Hmm.
But it just looks, the remnants of the improvements just look out of place.
So they did a phase one. They would have looked at your own or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Um, Okay, any other drainage board comments or concerns on this?
I presume at final design that you want an easement on the
Yes, I,
ravine
that,
area.
one of my comments, yeah. Yeah, all that would be required to be in an easement, the swale and the pond, and then as far as we can go, the outlet on the property to the receiving water body.
There's probably a culvert under 446, I would guess.
So you're thinking of easement up here to cover this offside.
While we're doing it, yes, I would, anywhere on the property we can get an easement, we would normally place an easement on, I would ask that we can do that. This one's different because you have such a large undeveloped area.
And based on the imagery, it's forested in this portion. Any indication of the quality of the vegetation? I mean, is it, I don't know, just, the overflow
Yeah.
will create some erosion, and so the quality vegetation, that should be sufficient to
It's
stand the
mature, it's mature trees.
mature trees.
Okay, and you're keeping all the excavation for the outlet and its swimming basin within the 15% slope?
Yeah.
It's better than 25%. Okay, all right. Do anyone have any other questions or? Okay. Does anyone have a motion for approval of the preliminary drainage plan?
I'll make a motion for preliminary approval of the transfer plan.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Steve.
I get a little easier.
One-on-one.
Thank you for your time this morning.
All right. Next on our agenda, we have a fairly robust residential development site. Few things going on here. So I wanted your input on this because it's more than we typically see for a residential build. See, let me pull up Elevate actually, because I don't have a map for you.
I don't see Teams open, right, still? Are we still online?
It is, it's in, I don't know how to open the app, it's in the browser.
Oh, that's why. Okay, just want to make sure.
Thank you, no, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Hold on, how do I find Elevate? Yes. Just gonna stop sharing so we don't have to watch me find Elevate on computer. What is it?
I have to do the same thing.
Is it? Is that it?
I always have to just go through.
It is, okay.
Oh, good
I counted
job.
myself. Okay, wow.
Have to search for Elevate million.
I just have to go through, I just go Monroe County GIS and then just get, yeah,
I try not to look at that.
yeah.
I should have a bookmark.
Yes.
Okay. This one is on Fry Road. Wow. So this morning. Okay. Okay, so Fry Road is the northern part of the county, west of I-69. So in this area here in the Bean Blossom watershed. So the property owners are hoping to do a addition on an existing home, as well as building a garage and another structure, all in this area. The stream running south of on the property, but south of the home, has a drainage area greater than 1 square mile with an unmapped floodplain. So we requested that they either map it or have DNR do it, and they've been in that process. It's been a couple months, so I'm expecting we haven't heard back from DNR. They should be really close.
It was the end of June of our notes.
Okay, so it's been June, July, I can't tell time. But hopefully it'll be soon. I think a couple months is what I would expect from them, so. The home itself is pretty high up, so we don't have major concerns that that is in the floodplain. But once we start developing further to the east, this area here gets kind of low, and we want to make sure that we don't do any development in the floodplain. Oops, can't see that one. Okay. All right, so my explanation of what is planned for this, and we have Katie and Scott here to help explain this. They're going to be doing a large expansion on the home here. And then they're going to be removing the structure. They're going to be putting in a garage at the end of the driveway here. And then another basketball barn structure to the south over here. The main concern we have as far as drainage goes is the garage that they would like to place at the end of the driveway right here, because there is a small drainage that comes down the hill right here. So they're proposing to relocate that stream and push it a little bit farther to the north. Okay. In their drainage report, they've explained the basins draining to this. So the stream drainage drains 5.2 acres, and then the other one drains 2.27 acres. I'll show you there. So. Okay. So these drainage basins are running from north to south.
Chelsea, what are the two areas again?
So this is the drainage areas of the stream they're hoping to.
I mean, what are the amounts? What are the acres?
5.2 and 2.7 acres, 2.27 acres. Right. So there's two little jaws that come down the hill here. The one to the left here is the larger one, and this one has a smaller drainage area. So they come down and go, excuse me, along the driveway and drain to the east, right into that low spot that's potentially floodplain. They're hoping to excavate in this area and put in a retaining wall on the hillside, and then have a riprap ditch here to convey the runoff. And Katie has done a study to size it to make sure that it is adequate to convey flows from this 5-acre drainage area and then this one here. So this is the concern area. We have the two areas draining together. So I asked that they make sure that they size it so that we're not setting that garage up to have drainage issues. So they don't have any initial questions. I'm gonna hand it over to Katie and Scott otherwise.
Roughly, what are the slopes as they go back up those draws? It's pretty steep, right?
Katie? Yeah. It's steep.
I don't know specifically, I didn't do
I
it.
didn't mean specific, just, it's steep, right?
It's steep, very steep. Yeah, and really, when I was calculating time of concentration, there's, there's really virtually no overland flow. It's shallow concentrated into immediately like a stream. So really, they're 5 minutes. They're heavily wooded, steep. Steep condition.
There's a driveway that goes up the hill and
Yeah.
it crosses in a pipe.
That's
That
right.
driveway on both of those.
Mhm.
So Fry Road,
essentially dead ends in their house.
Yes, this is a dead end.
And
And
then
private
the
road.
garage will be just north of the existing structure.
Yeah, so they hope to have it directly
The
out.
road goes right into the garage.
The culvert you were just describing, how much, freeboard is on that?
No idea.
Okay.
I did not analyze that culvert at all. I just assumed that culvert wasn't there and this was free flowing. So whether it overtops, I have no idea.
Okay. I was just thinking that would reduce that flow.
It would, but I didn't want to do that.
I
I just,
understand.
yeah, I want to do straight 100-year flows through here.
Okay.
But yes, to your point, yes, I would.
They said that the county road used to extend through there and at some point got abandoned. So that's the driveway that's there and it keeps going.
And that's the driveway to the north.
That's
Yes,
a private drive, yeah.
So it's
but the old county road kept going.
kept going east.
So along the road here, it looks like a old ditch on the side of an old county road. But once you look into the woods, it's like, oh, this is like a ravine, basically, you know,
Okay.
coming down. So the question was, even if it's an ephemeral stream, doesn't require state, federal water permits, we have the ability locally to allow or not filling or relocating a stream. And it was in the old ordinance a bit, but it's a bit more formalized in the newer one. Where,
For the ephemeral.
yeah. So,
Kelsey,
yes,
the ditch they're creating, on the north side of that, the garage.
Mhm.
Use your cursor and show me how it gets down to the ditch or the creek.
There's a pipe under the driveway right in there.
Yeah. So it flows down, start right here, and then it'll cross under
Okay,
about right here, and then it will just disperse out. That's why I'm worried that this here is a lower area. I'm not sure where that floodplain actually is.
is it defined or is it just kind of filtered down in your field there?
It's not really fine. It's like-
And they're proposing additional lots? Is that what I heard? No? Just the, okay.
It's
No,
just
they
like,
don't. The property to the south and the property to the north.
Okay.
Katie and Scott, do you have anything you want to add?
I don't think so, no, I mean, we just analyzed to make sure that constructed correctly, the swale would convey the 100-year, particularly behind the garage, that was my most concerning, not necessarily where they converge, because it's not really going to affect the garage, but just the garage itself as it's coming down the hill, making sure that it's up above the swale area, and of course, the waterproof foundation wall and all that.
So, so it's designed for the 100-year? Okay, so devil's advocate here, what happens at the 1,000-year flood?
They could potentially see water in their house, or in their garage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is a lot more defined than what is there right now. I mean, it's not, it's just a little trench, basically.
But there's no structure right now currently, correct?
No, I don't, well,
To the east.
to the east, I agree.
Kelsey. Easements again, do that. Okay.
And I don't typically deal with this for residential projects, but I think it would be a good idea to put an easement on
It's
that.
draining offside. It's a good idea.
Well, the floodplain would be on their property, where it's draining to. But
Yeah, did you have the flood layers on?
it's not mapped yet. That's what we're also working on. So,
Hey Kelsey, this is Tammy. I did have an older letter from Larry Wilson, former director and floodplain administrator, pop up. So I think they did identify floodplain about 2017 or something at 609.5 is what it says. And they did a survey to go with that. So I think that document allowed me to click off my step to confirm that no new development was going to happen, but I'm going to keep an eye on what DNR publishes and just make sure that those two things can like match up. the old survey versus the new modeling study that they do out here. So,
Especially, yeah, I don't know what data they were using to map it.
I mean, it was a DNR FARA, and then they were able to do a letter of map amendment to get the original house out of the mapped FEMA floodplain. And looking at their lowest floor elevations, I didn't think there was going to be a conflict based upon that information from the FARA from 2017. But like I said, I'm going to keep an eye on it, see what pops up.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Yeah.
Katie and Scott, do you have any? Okay. All right,
Sorry for being late, but I guess what is the ask here?
yeah. Explain it. So this is a residential project, but it's more than just a typical home. They're putting in a couple large structures. So the main drainage concern here is they're proposing to move an ephemeral ditch. They're relocating it to put in a garage. So they'll be cutting back the side of the hill here, installing a retaining wall, and then they've sized a riprap channel on the north side here to convey the flows for a large rain event. And then it'll discharge, continue down, eventually going to floodplain on the property. The drainage board feel comfortable with a motion to approve this drainage plan?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you, Bill. All in favor? Any opposed? Or any abstentions?
I think I'm gonna abstain here because I have an issue with the fact that it could be taken out, but I don't wanna halt the progress of this, so I'm gonna just abstain.
The fact that the ditch could be taken out?
No, just that we're putting a structure so close to a waterway that could easily flood in 1,000 years and cause damage. That just seems like not something I'm for,
I
so.
understand.
But I think with the drainage easements and everything else, that there's at least some ability to, get in there and fix any kind of problem, but I just would like to abstain.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you all, and thank you, Katie and Scott.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Moving along, the next one on our agenda, the last one, is an enforcement case that has been ongoing. I have the planning department on to help explain everything. Where's this? Where's ICD? It's like a whole another level of pressure when I'm sharing this screen. To find the room. Oh, check that out. Where's ICD? Okay. All right. So. ICD. So this part of the county, very, very karst. Todd had determined this whole area here is about 100-acre close contour. It's this pretty interesting, like, fairly flat area, but it's just pockmarked with sinkholes everywhere. We've had issues with sinkholes open up near roadways in this area, and they're very prevalent. So we have a property here that has been part of enforcement for several years now. There was an original grading permit a few years ago that I included in a packet that showed the property owner's plans to just fix up the property and clean it up. But that plan wasn't followed, and we have now a parking area and storage within sinkhole. So this is under enforcement before we pass our stormwater ordinance, but now that we have, I'm taking it to you because we also have our Parks Conservancy within our drainage ordinance. So I'd like your input on this and some guidance on mitigation measures for this, this development. So the property, a lot of sinkholes. So there's a sinkhole on the east side here. A sinkhole on the southeast corner as well over here. So you could probably like chase the contours and figure out it's all within a much larger closed contour, but they had Hydrogeology Incorporated do a full karst survey, and I included that in your packet. So let's see, I'll pull it up for you. Alright, so obviously there's sinkholes found on the property. They summarize the desktop review and the field survey. Alright, and then summary here. The 3 sinkholes present on the site, they should have protection with a conservancy area, of course. They say that there are no visible impacts from the existing driveway or parking area. That's all we have. But I visited the site a few years ago, and aside from just a general disturbance, there's some soil stockpiles, so there are pollution concerns. I didn't see any active opening of a sinkhole eye or anything, and it's showing erosion to it, or any other visible open karst features. But the general concern is the potential pollutants from having equipment and materials stored within the sinkhole, and future grading of the area for more damage to the sinkhole.
Do any of the sinkholes hold water after a storm event?
Um,
That you're aware of?
Not to my knowledge, but I'll, if the planning department knows.
Carrie, I don't know the answer to that, but we have been out several times. And the one to the north is sort of just like grassy area that's very, very large. The one to the south is the one where I've seen a lot of stockpiles of materials in. And like Kelsey said, we've tried to like kind of look around and see if there's any visible openings. We have not been able to see that. In addition to the parking lot area, they also put like a 210-foot long berm along the eastern property line. There's just been a lot of grading that's happened over time. And so this case is in litigation, and in order to get them out of litigation, we're trying to identify the sinkhole areas. And then because of the timing with the stormwater ordinance and then our ordinance in place, they don't meet the requirements for buffers from a sinkhole area. They say their intent is to eventually build a home and a garage on this site. So I think that before the drainage board today, something to consider, this is an active stormwater permit application. And I think that what you would be considering today is whether to allow the applicant to leave the site as a parking lot, or if you think it would be better to scale it back to try to meet some of those karst conservancy area buffers. I know Jason kind of tried to outline the karst areas on this site, but as Kelsey mentioned, it is like part of one large sinkhole in this area. They'll still require variances from planning because we specifically state there's not allowed to be a driveway and parking area in the karst area. And then not for your vote, but we are also going to be following up on the use of the parking lot. So it's not allowed to be used commercially for his trucking company. It does need to be used only for personal use. We have seen photos and he's admitted to having the trucks kind of washed out. He is a trucking company and he cleans off the trucks on this parking lot. We've asked him to not, have his trucks come to this site and be maintenance and washing and things like that. It's just not permitted because this is a residential zone. So that's, I think, everything I have unless you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Jackie.
What's the vegetation like now?
Jackie, the question was, vegetation, a sinkhole. I remember just being grass.
Like a
Yes.
hay?
Hay, grass. I've got a pretty good photo on my screen. Kelsey, if you want me to share, I can. Here. This was in the winter time. I believe this was, I think I might have said when it was. I believe it was late 2022. So this is what we mean. This is like at the parking lot edge looking south. So just kind of telling him repeatedly, without any kind of permitted grading permit, the berm was put in place. We said that needed to be stabilized, but it wasn't under a permit that you were allowed to put that in. And then we just continued to go out there and see different stockpiles of things. But typically the sinkhole and areas, hay on the south side, and I would say just grass on the north side typically.
Is the areas where they're encroaching on the sinkholes setbacks? Is there an option to improve the vegetation in those areas that might do a little better job filtering and make it acceptable to everyone? I'm asking.
Yeah,
So,
I think there could be a bit better vegetation for sure. I don't, obviously this will be something for our legal team to figure out if there's not an ability to stop continuous dumping of material and gravel and things, but any guidance that you guys might have in terms of vegetation, remediation, if there's any removal requirement. And then just generally speaking, if he is going to like temporarily have gravel or piles of fill anywhere on this site, where it's allowed to be, whether you would want that just to be on the parking lot gravel area, any further information you need, that's the kind of guidance that we'd be looking for today.
I think this is, to me, I'm seeing it similar to KNS, where we require them to remove all the materials and equipment from the sinkhole itself. And we're stabilizing the gravel area by just removing that top layer of gravel and installing topsoil and seed to restore the vegetation there.
Is there a sinkhole? Is the middle of the parking lot a sinkhole too?
That's
Is it a closed contour or is that a
that's
high?
a high point right
Okay.
here, yeah. But it's encroached into these sinkholes down here, so I would leave it to, I think,
Oh, there's a
the
high point. Okay.
property owner to propose a new kind of site plan, I guess, that includes parking area outside of that sinkhole. And reestablish vegetation in the sinkhole areas that have been disturbed.
Do we need them to go back from that closed contour? And, I don't know, are we at 25 feet now?
For planning purposes, 50 for stormwater.
50.
50? So he's got gravel parking within that protected area.
Yes, yeah,
So we would say, yes, remove that parking or that gravel area and do a canvas.
revegetate all this, yeah.
Is this the best we have to like identify where those sinkholes are?
That's the best I have right now. Yes, that's the
Which is like,
Jason's report.
Did Jason have it? Did he have a little?
so as the ordinance, like it would be a 50-foot
Mhm.
buffer from all the yellow, like is there even buildable property there? It's a little
Yeah,
interesting.
so in this area, which this is where I think he said he was planning on building a home, something up here, so that's, to me, that would be okay.
200 foot.
And then if we can,
Like it seems to encompass that whole parking lot if you did a buffer, 50 foot on each one of those
Mhm.
things.
If Jason's got them identified correctly.
Right. And yeah, so it would require a surveyor or engineer to have the topo and determine the largest close contour of 50 feet. Or we can delineate the drainage areas to those sinkholes, which we haven't really done yet on something, but you could say anything draining to that sinkhole should be protected. And we would draw a 100-foot line perpendicular to the largest close contour, and then kind of make a teardrop shape around the sinkhole. So
That seems like it's gonna eat up most of that
Yeah.
existing lot.
so I think the 50-foot for water quality purposes would be probably here.
I didn't understand something. Are those trucks that I see in there?
Yes, here's a traffic.
And you said that, he's not allowed to use it commercially?
No.
So that's part of the enforcement?
Mhm.
And the other thing that seems to me that's an awfully big lot for non-commercial use then.
So, yeah.
Pick it up and move on.
Remove all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, take out this stuff that's in the sinkhole.
Yeah,
Move on.
Okay.
so it's just he's just kind of interim use.
Yeah.
for Whatever he's waiting.
The other thing I'm not sure if planning can speak to this is what would be allowed if it were considered a home-based business. I think since it's a commercial trucking company, I think he's out of luck there.
There's a little bit of.
Planning group to deal with that.
Yeah,
But
so
Mark-
what I've just roughly measured out on the screen is like 50 feet from these yellow lines with these blue lines. So the interior area here would be the quote unquote buildable area if you were just going off of Jason's report. So if you're asking to scale back, this is about how much of the parking lot he'd be able to maintain here. And then your question about what he would be able to do just as a residential property, if he wants to have some sort of business, home-based business, there needs to be a home here, which has been our contention ever since we started. Is he says he'd like to live here, move here, but there's been no plans to build a residence here. So in the interim, it's just a parking lot.
Okay. Sounds like the drainage board is supportive of requiring removal of material and parking area from the sinkhole in the Parks Conservancy area, 50 foot outside of the largest closed contour. He can keep anything outside of that KCA. And I'll look to see a better surveyed plan of the property so that we can clearly define that KCA.
And revegetation.
Yes, revegetate any areas that have been disturbed.
He can relocate his drive so that it falls within that strip that Jackie.
Yes. Yep, and relocate the drive outside of the sinkhole. Okay.
Chelsea, tell me, did he build this initially without a permit?
He got a permit, but he didn't follow it. So, last.
He had a concept.
In the
This
driveway,
is the concept term.
what about the driveway?
So that's another area of enforcement. So the original driveway, I think this was to be on the west side of the parcel. And you put it in the center, going straight down the middle. So, this was the original grading plan that was issued years ago.
He was close, he's on the same property, right?
He's on the same property, yes, but, close but not quite. So,
Eventually propose a garage.
yeah,
Dirt fill half.
at this point, I'm gonna just, toss this whole hand-drawn plan and say, moving forward, we need survey, KCA, remove and stabilize everything within those areas.
We're including the driveway, right?
And including the driveway, yeah.
Which
So what do you-
basically eliminates
What
that whole.
What were their comments on the driveway if they didn't put it in the right?
Jackie, do you know where Ben stands on the driveway issue?
We've asked Mr. Burke to apply for a driveway permit after the fact. I don't think that he's done that quite yet, so I do recall having the conversation with the highway department And they state that they do remember having an original driveway permit in a different location, and then Brian, the applicant, just thought that once he had a permit, he could kind of realign the driveway. So there may have been some discussion and misunderstanding, but there was an original permit, but to my knowledge, the location where it is currently does not have a valid driveway permit.
Okay. Um,
When did he seek this? I guess I'm just generally interested.
This
Is this 2016? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
it's been,
So this has been going, even the enforcement's been going on for.
yeah, I'm not sure when planning began enforcement. But I think
Probably
it started
2020.
before I got here. So I totally got overlapped with your time here.
What are you looking for from the board?
The mitigation measures we discussed to formalize it, because this is a violation of our drainage ordinance, having this continued disturbance within a Karst Conservancy area. So we're going to say, no, this is not allowed in the Karst Conservancy. Mitigation measures are required. He can come back and appeal it with a different plan and come to the drainage board and say, no, I do want to develop within the KCA, issue a variance, or we can deny it. But this right now, I just need some a formal guidance to move forward with this
Are you
enforcement.
looking for a list of mitigation measures that we've discussed?
I think I have what I need to move forward.
Okay,
Whether we require removal of the gravel, add topsoil and seed, or whether he can just stabilize it on top of the gravel, that's something else.
is it appropriate to make a motion then to say that he come back with plan modifications to meet your department?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make that
Okay.
motion.
Second.
Does that motion include getting everything out of the Karst Conservancy?
My motion would be contingent on her approvals. And yeah, and I'm thinking get everything out, clean it up,
Stabilize.
get it stabilized.
Oh, that's what you asked for in the plan, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. I'll-
That's right. I didn't know if you needed that.
I would like that in the motion to include the requirement for
Okay.
stabilization and removal of everything from the sinkhole.
You got enough to make them get that.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a second.
Yeah, usually you do an amendment, but
Oh,
whatever. Second.
okay, sure.
Do you mind
Can I
restating
have
the
it on
motion?
there?
It's just-
That was the motion, right?
So the motion is to require the property owner to submit plans to us for development within the allowed areas of the sites outside the KCAs. Removal of all the material and equipment from the sinkhole areas and stabilization of everything that has been disturbed.
That's good, I think.
That's the motion you're making.
That's exactly what I was doing.
That's what I heard.
I just wanted to.
No, that's
Clean it up.
very good. Okay,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, thank you all. Are you out here early, Terry?
Yeah.
Uh,
Good
I
call there.
was late, the
Yeah.
traffic was unusually crazy this morning.
Oh,
Was it?
okay.
That's not my excuse, but I'll go.
Well, no, they got
Is
that
classes
Rogers.
about to start? Oh.
No, Rogers, and I forgot about it, because last night I came up Rogers and turned down.
Right.
And I was just gonna go straight.
But yeah, they, isn't college also down in one lane? I think so, going north, so it's kind of crazy around there.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's just with Hopewell East and First Street
Yeah.
modifications, they've got.
I just have one more comment before we adjourn. I am going to be working on a couple of text amendments for the new ordinance already. They came up pretty quickly, honestly. Some of them are pretty standard, like I want to change the language for referencing the planning department's ordinances, either the zoning ordinance or subdivision control ordinance. It's all going to be lumped under the county's development ordinance, so I want to standardize that across it. And then I have a couple other random things that have come up, so I hope to maybe at the next drainage board meeting, we can review my proposed text amendments. Okay.
Sure.
One of them is for conservation practices, and we had discussed like terracing and some of those land disturbing activities related to ag. in the CSGP items, state, those are excluded, and so I kind of mirrored the CSGP to at least meet their requirements. But I want to run that by you if there's anything you'd like permits for, such as terracing or, not just putting in a grass waterway or something, but something that's a bit more substantial. I'll run that by you, see what you want to do with that.
That's an agricultural area?
Yeah, and for agricultural, like if someone's putting in a practice to help with erosion on their field,
Oh, okay.
those are exempt at the state level. And I don't want to hinder anyone from doing something to better their property and reduce erosion, help with drainage. But I think with some of our concerns with sensitive areas, slopes and karst features, is something we had discussed in the ordinance review. I just remember you bring up terracing specifically. So I want to make sure you had a chance to kind of review that.
So this would be, wait, so I'm still not clear, but we can talk about it next time,
Yeah,
but it's,
yeah.
you want to insert suggested practices in agricultural areas that would meet our,
Yep.
that would fit within our drainage plans.
That would require a stormwater permit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But I thought agricultural areas wouldn't require a stormwater permit.
it doesn't. Yeah,
Okay. all
as
right.
long as you're doing that. That's what it-
That's where I was unclear, but
I
we're
don't
good.
require a permit currently, because I just mirrored the states
Yeah,
on
okay.
that.
Okay.
The other thing is just discussing redevelopment triggers for detention and water quality treatment. That's always we need to discuss that, especially reviewing, just reviewed the planning department's parking and landscaping ordinances. So clearing up some things. I know there's been overlap between the requirements for water quality in the landscaping ordinance. So we're having all of the design standards in stormwater ordinance. And then I just want to go over with you some of the triggers to make sure it's as clear as possible. So, okay, I'll talk about that more next time. Otherwise, next meeting is September 10th, 8:30 a.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you.
All in favor, aye.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Motion
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thanks for seeing you all.
Yeah.
See you. Have a good one. Yep.